welcome to the Evil Quacks Podcast. I am your host, Brian Jackson, and joining me today is my co-host,
Kevin Brady. Hello.
Wow! And then we have our guest today, special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Alex Varsik. I'm the owner and team lead for Evil Quacks Studios. My first question, though, before we start anything, who's editing this?
Me.
You?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Mother piece of shit.
We're gonna have to edit so much of this out.
We're gonna put quacks all over all of that.
And you have to do that.
Yes.
Suck it.
This is a nightmare
I hate
already.
you already.
Welcome to the Evil Quacks Podcast, where we do all the shit that's evil. And you have to
Yes.
quack that out.
All right,
too.
all
Gotta
right,
start
all
with
right.
the evil.
Alright, so
So-
we're here to talk about games and evil stuff. Kevin, what game are we discussing today?
Today we're gonna be talking about Overcooked 2.
Ooh, good game, good game. I know that myself, Kevin, and Alex have played a very good amount of Overcooked 2. We have yet to complete the game. However, we are one world away from completing it?
I think
if
2
remember.
worlds. We just finished 4, and I think there's 6.
Okay. I thought we were on, or just starting
I
one.
we
could have
start 5?
sworn we finished 5.
I thought we
We
did
finished
too.
5?
Yeah, we
Oh,
finished
okay.
5.
Either way.
We're close to finishing, but not done.
Yeah, we're a good amount of the way through. 3 stars every single level. We're doing a great job, and possibly we might be getting a 4th person who might be a special guest on a future podcast. Anyway, so guys, Overcooked 2. Initial thoughts. What jumps out at you? Like, does something about the gameplay jump out at you? Maybe the music? How about anything in terms of art style? Anything.
Not much has really changed since the first game in terms of style. I mean, like, obviously the art has been updated a little bit to just be more up to date. I'd
Yeah,
say
taking
more
advan-
optimized. I don't know.
taking advantage of the new hardware to render those cartoony chefs.
Wait, when did Overcooked 1 come out for next gen consoles?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
I know
so-
we played it on Andres' PS4 when we all started meeting for Evil Quacks.
Yeah, but what's the original release? We should have done research.
Oh well.
I will Google it.
Kevin,
Research
Google.
is for good people. We're evil people.
We have plans, Brian. We have to make sure the plans work, and that's based off of facts, figures, stats.
That's stupid.
You're
You're
stupid.
stupid.
I think this is going to be a very successful podcast when you argue with the guests week in and week out about who's stupider, you or them.
Can confirm. Released on next gen, or the current gen consoles.
Thank you, Kevin.
I haven't fully adjusted out of saying next gen and
Cur-
to current gen, even though we're very firmly into this generation.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, at least for me, one of the biggest things that stands out is not only some of the music, like on the raft levels, you have the crazy drummer that I will always talk about. Like, whenever it gets like to the faster point where it's 1 minute or 30 seconds remaining, the drummer just speeds up along with the rest of the music, and I think it's insane. On top of that, throwing mechanic. I love the throwing mechanic.
The throwing is awesome and results in so many interesting situations.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's not only a great and helpful tool to have to speed up the process of, like, preparing food before you cook it, but also it is great for mayhem whenever you go to line up the shot and completely botch it, and your teammate's just kind of standing there like, come on, man. You could have done so much better.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
did-
you just chuck it and you end up with the food going into the trash can. And it's like, that is exactly where I meant to put that.
I just like shouting Kobe every time I throw something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the obvious white person thing to do. Also, Kevin, since you're editing this, you're going to hate me around the 7-minute mark.
Oh,
Why?
God.
For some reason, I was rotating my mic and everything got all staticky.
Oh.
Funny.
Oh,
Good
Alright.
luck!
It's official, Alex. You're not welcome back on the podcast.
Yes.
You're done. This is your last episode.
Banned.
As executive producer of this podcast, I agree.
Jeez.
Like, I have voted that I am not allowed. I am voting myself off the island.
Yes. I am the host. No, wait, Brian's the host. And Kevin's the host.
Wowza. Anyway, how about level design, guys? Like, what jumps out at you for level design as compared to the first game?
They definitely stepped it up in terms of level design. I think the main thing that really jumps out in the differences between the first Overcooked and the second one is the changing levels, especially in the end of World 1,
Yeah.
where you're in the blimp and you
Immediately,
shot down.
Like, plummet to the ground, and then suddenly you're in a restaurant making sushi along with salad. I thought that was a really fun little transition, and a nice addition to the challenge. It's preparing you for the rest of the game, yet the level wasn't super hard or anything.
See, I disagree with you on the preparing you for the rest of the game in terms of like it only happens in like so many levels, and it only happens at the end of each world.
It's like 3 or 4 I think we've seen at max.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's one changing level for the end of every 2 worlds. So like 1-6, 3-6, 5-6.
I'd rather see that more often, honestly.
Yeah,
I
because
would love
think
to see that more often.
it ups the difficulty at least. And for a game as short as Overcooked is, they have an opportunity to extend it by having these more difficult levels. The levels themselves already, as they stand, just the normal stationary, but with their own mechanics, they are difficult in themselves. But they add another level of difficulty with the changing ones, and I think they can base a game type around that, just doing those types of levels in a row.
Yeah, I think they're really cool levels, and I like the fact that it throws you for a loop halfway through. That like it's not only a change of scenery and learning a new area when it changes, but it's also now you have a different recipe to make. Like the one with the hot air balloon that goes to the restaurant. Like you start making, I think it's salads in the hot air balloon, and then you crash, and it's like, all right, you're making sushi now, and it's like, wait, hang on, what?
Completely throws you for a loop. Yeah, it's one of my favorite mechanics to play around with. It doesn't appear often enough in my taste, but I can understand why it takes a lot of time and effort to develop levels like that with all of that scripted madness happening.
I think the other thing that they added that I really liked, that I'm pretty sure wasn't in the first game, is the conveyor belts for the players themselves, not the ones that you put the food on.
the floor-based
like
conveyors.
the treadmills that you can
Yeah.
ride along. Like there's that one level that has like 3 areas, and then there's treadmills between all of them, and I ended up falling off of them every time because I kept trying to run against the treadmill to get stuff to where it needed to go.
But the conveyor belts also switch directions on
Yeah,
you
they
while you're
sometimes
on.
do.
Yeah, they like switch every so often.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to actually bring up, if you guys didn't, was the fact that Overcooked does pride itself on those types of obstacles, like, you know, the conveyor belts on the floor, sometimes moving boxes that block you from certain areas, and things like that. So, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. So, I was going to ask, what are your guys' either favorite or least favorite obstacles?
Obstacles? My favorite, like, I specifically like the raft levels because how the rafts themselves, they just continuously, like, move throughout the level. And like sometimes colliding, sometimes drifting further apart. So you have to figure out how you want to strategize in throwing the objects. Do you want to wait to pass the plate, or do you want the other guy to throw stuff to you as like you're getting more stuff and to prepare the next meal?
Right.
And also it feels like it actually gives merit to that mechanic besides just randomly throwing.
We're gonna have to cut that out.
Stop making work for me, Alex.
But yeah, I enjoy the throwing mechanic, but I really feel like the raft levels capitalize on the throwing mechanic the most, and which makes it even more enjoyable because it gives purpose to that. You have to strategize with it. It's not just throwing rice into the pot from like across the kitchen. You have to do that.
Right. Kevin, your favorite obstacle?
I do really like the raft one as well. I think the treadmill, as much as they were as annoying as they were to try to resist them to go around and like try to deliver stuff to where it needed to go, I actually really liked it though. I think there wasn't like that was one of the levels we laughed the most on playing.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because of the number of times I fell off and like plates were lost and just everything going where it wasn't supposed to be, all like through the course of the level.
All right. Well, since you guys took my 2 favorite obstacles, I'm gonna go with my least favorite. In some of the mining levels, anytime you had the moving mine carts, which also contained all of your food to work with, was one of the most annoying things to me. So kudos to the developers for managing to tick me off, but at the same time, rage. Every time I went to go get an ingredient, they would just move. It would just be so, like, ugh.
I do think there are some mechanics in the game where it's based off of movement in intervals, where like certain times you have to time it just right. and if you don't time it just right towards the end, you're just sitting around for 30 seconds to do nothing.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
the one level's particular. It was the blimp level where a blimp level, not the blimp level.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah.
Blimp level. But where like you and your partner on separate blimps, but there's a third blimp with a table on it that goes back and forth between your two blimps.
Yeah.
The only one.
The
way
one
to
where
move
you have to
plates.
put the dishes on the bottom table and then it floats between you two.
Yeah, what I've noticed specifically in that level, because after we played it probably twice because we didn't 3-star it the first round.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also seeing other people online play it that same level is that around the 15-second mark, it like drifts back from the serving balloon back to the kitchen balloon,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't come back.
There's just not enough time.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just not enough time. And
Yeah. It's those kinds of things that slow the entire pace of the game down.
right, which can be a good mechanic, especially to mess with the player to make them think outside the box and do certain things. But
Yeah, psych them out a little bit because you know it's supposed to be a faster paced game. You're trying to get those dishes out as fast as you can. And then suddenly there's something in the way that's preventing you from doing that. And in this case, that table moving every so often. I'd say like every 10 seconds it moves.
it's way longer than that.
Yeah.
Really?
It's
like-
more like 30, 40 seconds.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my major complaint about that level specifically is that like sometimes you can barely just make the tip counter for the 3 stars,
Mhm.
but like in the final 5 seconds of the entire level, you can just make it barely.
Yeah.
That mechanic in that level specifically eliminates the last minute chance to do it because it kind of cuts the timer down by like 15 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, the same can be said of the raft levels for some levels where the plating area and serving area are on one raft, and then you have the chopping area on the other, along with the cooking area. In which case, you have to wait in order to get either pans or dishes or other ingredients over that are already either plated or in a dish because you can't throw them.
Right, you can't throw plates or like cooked food or anything, but
Yeah,
it's still like
I mean, for obvious reasons.
obviously, but like in the raft levels, like they collide at certain points where like chefs can just walk back and forth with the
Right.
thing. They can create their own destiny at that point. Like they
Mhm.
can have plates on one side, throw stuff over there, and then serve it.
Yeah, there's some that it doesn't matter. Like there's I think the first raft level with the chicken fingers and like the nuggets and French fries. That the plates are all on the serving side, so you don't
Right.
have to worry about it. It's just you have
That's
to throw the
fine.
chicken across, have the chicken chopped, and then get it back. And then that works because the people making the plates all have the plates and can make the meals. But
Mhm.
they don't have to worry about waiting for plates to get washed and then sent back.
Yeah, and then in other levels, it's, well, now the frying pan is on the other side with the chopper guy, so he'll have to cook it there, and then once he can get it over to you, he'll have to walk it over to you. He can't just throw it, and that slows things down.
Yeah.
What I'm getting from this is that we want to be able to throw plates.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. We need plate throwing DLC immediately goes down.
I think it would be a fun mechanic to be able to throw plates, and then like if you have the plates take damage.
Yeah, so like risk and reward kind of system.
Yeah, so like if you drop the plate like 3 times, it shatters, and you can't use that plate for the rest of the level.
Yeah,
But if the player catches the plate, then it's fine.
yeah.
That'd
And
be
that
cool.
would be perfect. I
What
mean,
if
so
you
long
miss
as the food doesn't fall off the plate?
True.
What if you miss the throw and like the plate ends up falling off the blimp?
Well,
Like
it'll respawn.
Yeah,
I mean, if you throw out
Or
a
do you
plate,
wanna-
it respawns elsewhere.
I
Or
know.
it'll fall off of one.
But if you were going on this mechanic of the dishes can break, is that a plate is now gone?
Yeah, that's a dish break, basically, and then it'll respawn a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah. At least I think that's what you're trying to get at, Alex.
no, I would say permanently like removing it from the rest of the level. Like I agree that
Oh, that's...
you bring up a point, Kevin.
That's devilish.
It's really harsh.
That
It is harsh.
I think you can
What can
get
I
like
say?
what 4 plates?
I mean,
Yeah.
Overcooked is already a challenging game enough sometimes. So...
I would argue against you on that one.
Well, Overcooked 2 is definitely a little bit easier than its predecessor. I can definitely say that, because the first levels, I remember, we got 1,200 points when we only needed, like, what, 300?
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
like something. There's like you need 400 gold coins for that. It's like, well, how about 1,200?
It's like,
You're like, here you go.
yay.
Yeah, that's probably one of the more disappointing parts of this game is that it's so easy in the very beginning moments.
I don't know. I think it's just to get a wider audience in this case. You know, opening up to, or at least, for example, back this Saturday, I was over at Kevin's house and we were playing with his little cousins. And the difficulty curve, or at least the downward curve, to make it a little bit easier, made it a little bit more accessible to them. Where in Overcooked 1, they probably would not have gotten as far.
Yeah, that's true. Though I don't think you should completely sacrifice the challenge in your game for the accessibility. Like the challenge of getting the 3 stars is like part of the thing. Like you only need 1 star to move on, but like getting the 3 stars in the first game was much more like an effort to get. So it was kind of like the extension of you could beat it,
Right.
but then you had to practice at it to get better.
Yeah.
We're like clean sweeping them like first try getting the 3 stars.
That's
like
true.
I think
The
that's a
challenge
little
that made
easy.
the game a little bit more replayable, and on top of that, you know, even fun.
Because you go back and you try to beat it, and now it's like dude, we just getting it on the first try. I don't think we've had a level that's taken us more than like 3 tries,
I think we've
discounting
had a few.
lag. There was one
discounting lag.
There was a castle one with portals that took us a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
like,
because we
so
were
many
having a
tries.
very laggy night. The only levels that we're having a problem with are the extra levels, the Kevin levels, if you will, not
Yes,
our Kevin,
my levels.
Dog Kevin.
Screw you, Kevin. Dog Kevin's much better than
Yeah, we needed 100% more Kevin. We got that 100% more Kevin, and it's fantastic.
I think the Kevin levels frustrate me the most because they're designed specifically to need 4 players in order to complete.
I think the one we played felt like that.
Yeah, we played the first one, which was making steamed buns, and then sometimes just chop up some shrimp.
Fish.
And was it fish or was it shrimp?
It was fish.
I don't think you serve up fish on its own. Either way, it's one of the two. Yeah, we did not get a single star on that one. Mostly because we had to spend a good amount of our time learning how to make the steam buns first, because there was no level for it prior to it. Of course, they gave you instructions on how to do it, but we kind of messed up the first few times. Meh.
Yeah, it's still a new meal. Even when they tell you how to make a new meal, there's still kind of there's
A little bit of
learning
confusion
period.
on finding that process that works just right for each team.
Yeah, there's they can tell you that the burrito requires the zucchini, the rice, and the wrap thing, and it's be like, all right, I got I understand what I'm supposed to do, but it's like, wait, hang on, so I need this, and this, and it takes you a little bit to be like, all right, I need this, done, this, done.
And then hoping that it gets passed on to the next person who can easily just go, all right, we need a plate here. All right, I'll serve it up, get it washed, bring back another plate for serving this up, and keeping that routine alive. Or if you have someone who's doing the baking after the cutter guy, then yeah, you better hope that he's pretty diligent in his task. So there's a little bit of confusion, especially with the Kevin levels, which are a little bit bigger than most.
Yeah, were they bigger? I didn't think they were.
I think they were a little bigger, mostly because, let's see, you had the chop zone on that first Kevin level to the bottom left, and then you had the steam bun, or at least the steam meat cooking zone, I guess.
The steamer. You had to like steam the.
Yeah, you had to steam it. Or was it, steaming or frying, whichever one it was, I'm sorry, I forget. And then you had to take it back out, give it to the next guy, who would then steam it, and then put it on a steamed bun, like, what do you call it? Whatever the wrap for steam bun is. I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head.
Basket, I think. I don't know.
I don't know. We should just put it out there right
Yeah,
now
like-
that all of us are terrible cooks.
Oh, absolutely.
Speak for yourself. I make the best grilled cheese ever.
Hey, man, I
Eh.
make a pretty swell taco salad, alright?
Yeah, but that's not cooking anything.
No, it's cooking the taco meats.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
If you're putting ground beef into it, then you have to
Yeah.
use the ground beef.
Ooh, ground beef.
Ooh,
I can do that for tacos.
You know what?
That's about all I can do.
You know what? Kevin, get your sensor ready.
Alright, anything else we want to address with Overcooked 2?
My major gripe with the game itself is that the audio mixing is way too loud.
Yeah, it definitely can be a little bit too loud at some points, especially when you're down to, say, the last 30 or 10 seconds. The music does get a little bit louder, but to the point of you're yelling over it to try and communicate with your teammates.
Well, I think if you the major part of Overcooked is communication with the people you're playing
Yeah.
with, especially with the online feature that they now added.
Which I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are more than likely talking through a headset to your other chefs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have the audio coming through your headphones as well as the party chat, and then you're on like one of those rap levels with the sick drum solo.
Sick drum solo in the background.
It is very hard to communicate, to try to decipher what people are trying to do and say versus what is a drum.
Yes.
Yeah, you're totally not wrong on that one.
Like, I play on my laptop sometimes when I'm playing with you guys through, and like the audio comes through the headset itself, and it's just so annoying to be listening to very loud music at like 20% volume on my headphones, and then trying to figure out what
we're trying to say. Yeah, that's fair. I don't think I have too many other major gripes with the game.
The main plot is fantastic in the puntertainment setup, which is the Necronomicon
and the Unbred.
Yeah, that are risen.
See, like, as soon as I knew they were going to announce the name, I was like, okay, what's it gonna be? Is it the Leavened? Is it the Risen? I don't know. And then they said the Unbred, and I just lost it. As a person who just loves puns, this was an amazing experience for me.
I don't enjoy Brian's pun humor.
Well, that's a darn shame.
I like it sometimes, Brian.
Thanks, Kevin. You're great.
Yay.
Well, other than that, that's pretty much all I got on Overcooked 2. Alright, Minor League Evil. What do we got going on, Kevin?
Well, Alex, this was your idea, so do you want to explain the
Alright,
segment?
Minor League Evil. What do we got going on, Alex?
Yeah, so I think it's very strange that the guest is explaining the concept to the host of what Minor League Evil is.
We all work together on this. Well, I know
You're
what
executive
it is, but I'm just saying
producer.
you're here, and it was your idea, so you might as well offer up some.
And now the people will know that you'll always be on the sidelines for this.
Yeah, I have to listen to whatever you say, so.
You like talking to us. Shut up.
Yeah, but when I'm listening to the audio to approve everything, I have to listen and can't talk to you, and I'm just shouting at the screen, what the f*** are you doing?
We're talking to you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking to you.
Anyway, so the concept of Minor League Evil. It's an idea where we just talk about things that we've done or seen in everyday life that could be considered evil. This is something where normally the guest would bring up the idea of what they saw and describe it, and then we all talk about it. Sometimes we will pull from our Patreon and Twitter to look for stories, and it's kind of like a fan bag letter.
Yeah, so fans can submit stuff in, and we'll talk about it.
See, someone else.
So since you're the guest, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'd like to take you back to December 2017.
Okay.
So this is a story that we're all very familiar with, at least for us on the recording side, because we were all there when it happened.
Okay.
Yeah, figure it out, Kevin. What were you doing mid-December 2017? There you go, Brian.
I know this story well.
Oh, right, yeah.
We reference it like at least once a month.
Yes,
I like
remember.
this reference.
Yeah.
So, me, Brian, and Kevin were we're big fans of professional wrestling. We went to a WWE live event.
First one I've ever been to.
In Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Home of a great event that happened in 1998. I won't go any further.
Oh, okay.
No, I think you would have to establish the joke first before you can not say the joke.
Yeah, we're the only ones that know what you're talking about, Brian. You have to tell the audience the joke.
Allow me to explain in the fact that this is one of the only wrestling facts that I will ever retain because my memory is awful. But I've seen this one so many times before, at least on Reddit. So, back in 1998, there was a Hell in a Cell match in Allentown, Pennsylvania, in which famous wrestler The Undertaker threw other famous wrestler Mankind off the top of the cell, 16 feet down into the announcer's table. I will always bring up this reference whenever the words 1998 or any sort of wrestling trivia is brought up, It will be the first thing I will jump to, and Alex and Kevin hate it.
Yes, because Brian will always crowbar the conversation into it's just like, oh, I can squeeze it in here. I'm gonna get my 1998 Hell in a Cell Undertaker versus Mankind reference in here.
Granted, I was not the one to come up with this crowbarring of back in 1998. You know the story. There was a guy on Reddit by the name of... Actually, I can't really say his name. We'd have to censor his name, actually.
Would we?
Yeah.
Question? Really?
Okay, guy on Reddit.
Guy on Reddit.
Guy on Reddit, alright.
Very famous, very popular. He will comment on posts starting out with something relevant, like say it's a post about a dog. He's like, yeah, I had a dog a lot like this one. You know, taming him was a little bit hard. But, you know, we kind of found our stride back in 1998 when Undertaker threw Mankind off the top of the cell into the announcer's table. Something like that. He's really infamous for it, writes super long posts, and people always fall for it. So, there's the joke.
Anyway.
Right, so back to Alex's story off of Brian's long tangent explaining his Hell in a Cell story.
So, so we were attending a WWE live event in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It was we were in the crowd and there was some kids behind us. And to be fair, if you go to a WWE live event, there will always be children in the vicinity. And because we're such big yet cynical wrestling fans, we tend to root for the villains. Also, we're evil.Ait a second.
Yeah, it lines up.
We're villains.
Checks out.
We like bad guys.
Yeah, so one of the popular villain acts on WWE right now is Elias, because he plays guitar, he sings, and he also insults your hometown in the process, which is always fun.
He's great.
So he just sung a song, and it was Christmas. It was Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, I think.
I think so.
It was around the time.
Yeah, Christmas song.
Yeah.
And everyone was joining in, and everyone was having a good time. And then as he was leaving, the kid behind me shouts, "Nobody likes you." And I decided to chime in and shout at him, "I like him, and I am someone."
To which then Kevin and I also joined in. Kevin first saying, "I like him too," and then with me following up with, "I like him third." We were laughing about it the whole ride home. Alright, well, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, if you got a story.
I guess. This is one that I kind of just remembered from closer to maybe either half a year ago or possibly even a year ago. I was introducing one of my good friends to my favorite game, which is Borderlands 2. This certain someone also does work for Evil Quacks. Her name is Amanda. You may meet her down the road as well. So I was introducing her to Borderlands 2, and one of the enemies in the game is known as the EXP loader. However, if you piece those two bits together, you get Exploder. Basically, it's a robot, it runs up to you, it explodes. However, me being the little devil that I was, I turned to her and said, you know, if you go up towards that enemy and kill it up close, it actually grants you more experience points and you'll level up faster. And so she did.
To defend your point, that's actually very clever because EXP experience makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that is, I think, the first time I saw the Exploder. Like, I think that was the first thing I thought. I was like, ooh, maybe that thing gives me extra experience. And then it blew up, and I was like, oh, no, that's what it is.
And you just have to sit there like, huh, I totally bought that. And then later on down the road, you might run into something known as a loot loader, in which case, like, oh no, you're not getting me this time. Because it kind of does look like it could be something carrying, like, a bomb. It's just a tiny little case with legs. But it actually does give you some pretty nice loot in-game. So that's my evil story. I convinced a friend to go walk up to an enemy and subsequently die.
Kevin, you still thinking about your minor?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You seriously don't have one?
No.
We talked about it.
I know, no, like, I'm not very good with the evils. I tried to make Brian record the podcast with a full bladder.
Dang it. That could have worked.
Well, that's the evil that we got.
What's next on the agenda, Kevin?
All right, so next up we have the segment Hall of Villainy, in which the three of us are going to talk about 3 villains that we would like to see introduced into the Hall of Villainy, and then we will put them up for a vote from fans to decide which one of those 3 villains actually gets inducted for this episode. And then those villains that don't make it can come up later, and we can try to make another attempt to get them in. But for now, we're going to defend our cases as to why they should fit. So, do you want to start first again, or should we start with Brian this time and mix it up?
Well, I'm the guest, so I think I
know,
should.
but you went first last time.
Fine. Someone else can go first for their induction of the Hall of.
You can go second, but one of us can go before you.
Okay, fine.
Brian, you want to go? I think I
Sure.
probably know who you're gonna go for.
Could this certain someone be devilishly handsome?
No.
Oh,
Vampires?
no.
No.
Not at all. That's stupid, Alex. Why would you even recommend that? Come on, man.
Because they're handsome. They're supposed to be handsome. They're vampires.
Well-
Didn't you see Twilight?
No.
No.
With good reason.
Yeah.
Good.
But I am, of course, referring to, well, I was just talking about my favorite game. I am referring to a man by the name of Handsome Jack.
Denied.
Jeez.
Denied on grounds of you like him too much.
Well,
Yeah.
of course I do. He's one of my favorite villains of all time with his beautiful one-liners, his lust for, cleansing Pandora to make it the ultimate utopia, and just the passion he brings to all of it. He could either be that best friend who's, saying stupid stuff in your ear the entire time, or, he's the villain you love to hate. Also, he's got a robot army. That's pretty neat. Also, forceful takeover of a company. He didn't own Hyperion before. Well, I guess he owned it after pre-sequel, but, it was brutal. Brutal takeover. Handsome Jack, everybody.
He didn't own it before Borderlands 2.
Yeah. Didn't own it before Borderlands 2, but boy, did he.
I think Handsome Jack does have some merits as well in the to go on with his. He has some relatable motives too, but like going down that dark path.
Yeah. One of his biggest things is that he is the hero of the story. He will always make it a point to tell you that he is in the right, despite the fact that along the way he is killing so many innocent people. Handsome Jack is truly a villain, but he's not the always hated villain.
See, what I always love in good villains, what I look for in good villains in general, is like having relatable motives, and that's one of Handsome Jack's pluses. But I think there's a lot of work to do that because they gave Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and Borderlands 2 are solely around Jack.
Yep.
And building him up as a character. So that's always they did a lot of work to give him his motives.
Yeah, they really fleshed him out.
Right, and they also gave him a lot of what was I gonna say? Crap. They gave him a lot of opportunities to like grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I always enjoy a villain who actually thinks he is the hero of the story, as Handsome Jack would say. I enjoy a villain that thinks he's actually doing the right thing, despite the
all of the wrong he does along the way.
Not only that, but the outlying consequences of doing the right action, doing right, comes at a price.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like those types of villains.
Yeah, because in pre-sequel, you'll see that Handsome Jack is trying to save the moon from Zarbadon, who is trying to not only find the vault, but also is just shooting lasers down at the moon, which seems really, really messed up. But he's trying to prevent her from, hurting all of these innocents. But by the end of the game, he has a lust for all of the treasure in the vault and how he can use that to rule over Hyperion. You can see him visibly go through his change throughout the game.
And as someone who didn't finish the pre-sequel, that was a massive spoiler.
Oh.
What do you think we were doing?
I forgot that we were still also playing pre-sequel for
Yeah.
a sec.
Come on, Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
I mean, we can figure out that some of that's gonna happen. We're still playing.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't tell you everything there is to know.
So, but, like, Jack has his motives that you can relate to, because like in reality, like a villain a villain's not going to like be just like, I am evil. Twirls mustache. He's like, and I know I'm doing wrong. I know murdering is wrong, but I'm going to do it just because I'm evil. They're gonna have some reason to justify it, that they think that is what needs to be done. And I like that Jack has his kind of wanting to make Pandora a nicer place,
Right.
but going about and committing mass murder to kill all of the bandits living on the planet, that's not really the way to go about it.
Yeah, he's kind of blind to what he's done.
I will say that there are better villains who like have a similar setup to Handsome Jack, where like they have the right intentions in mind. They're just going about it at the wrong way. They have a stronger case about it. Like what I'm referencing purely is Valentine from the first Kingsman movie.
Oh yeah, great movie.
Yeah, Valentine played by
Samuel L. Jackson.
Exactly.
Great man.
He was trying to essentially stop global warming and all the problems of the world through mass murder of most of the human race. And it wasn't maniacal or anything. The way he played the part was so reasonable.
I would say sociopathic even, in a way.
Well, yeah, anyone who wants to murder the entire world comes off sociopathic, but like he presented it as a logical situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't just like do it by himself. He went around the world to all the major leaders of the world, told them what his plan was, said he was gonna do it regardless of what you thought, and then is like, you're either in or you're out. But if you're out, you're also in, and you're also in prison until we actually get rid of all the undesirables.
Right.
That is.
I would like your nomination.
No. That was not my nomination, but I would say there are while it's agreeable that Handsome Jack is a good villain, there are villains who do a similar thing that that is much better.
Okay.
Or they do it better in the sense of it's believable, makes sense, and they're not crazy.
Fair. Although I think as we play the pre-sequel, you might see like a little bit more on my point, I guess. You'll get to see what makes Jack the villain that he was in Borderlands 2.
I guess, but like then you also have the point where Handsome Jack in the beginning of the Borderlands 2 just outright says, I scooped the man's eyeballs out with a spoon.
It's not at the beginning, it was midway, but whatever.
Still, I think that's like a very psychotic thing to do that doesn't really seem logical in the sense.
Well, yeah, but still, that thing happened after the events of pre-sequel. Yeah, the entire raid of Oldhaven was something that happened off-screen after 2, because he says he does it with Wilhelm at his side, who is a character in pre-sequel.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, that's an after the break moment. That is like after he's gone off the deep end.
Right.
Thing. It's like he started with good intentions and then went off the deep end to kind of get lost there.
Mm.
Right, but like I would argue that Valentine didn't actually go off the deep end. That was just a conclusion he came to. Agree with it?
Yeah.
Still.
The's definitely a bit of off the deep end.
Yeah,
he's just not
there's
Jack
still
off
something.
the deep end.
Yeah, there's still something, but like, to a lesser extent with Valentine. He didn't go as far off the deep end, I suppose.
Yeah. So since Valentine is not your pick, Alex, who is your pick?
Thanos.
Okay.
Thanos did nothing wrong.
Exactly.
In which case, he's not evil. He did nothing wrong.
Haha, your point.
Done.
Point undermined.
-5 points to Thanos.
Alex, we want
fair,
villains.
I can say that Handsome Jack did nothing wrong. If the argument of he did nothing wrong, I agree with you, is the point to say that no, he can't be in the Hall of Villainy, what are we doing?
I don't know. A podcast?
Exactly.
Yes.
So again, going off the whole, I like a villain that has reasonable motives and they actually make sense.
Uh-huh.
Thanos is my pick purely, I don't read Marvel comics, but I do enjoy the MCU universe. So Marvel's Infinity War came out this past summer where Thanos essentially wiped out the half of the entire universe because he believed that all life in the universe was going to like cease to exist because there's too much life going on, and we're overusing our resources, and that's built on the allusion to some backstory with Thanos. I think they're planning on doing more backstory with Thanos in Infinity War Part 2. But
spoilers if you haven't seen Infinity War, by the way.
Ouch.
if you haven't seen Infinity War yet, what are you doing?
Waiting for it to come out on DVD.
Waiting for Christmas.
No. As of right now, it is out on Blu-ray and DVD.
Well,
Yeah.
about that.
About what, Brian?
Let's see, Infinity War.
Brian, come on.
I told you about this like
I know.
days
I know.
ago.
And I already forgot that we had this conversation.
Wait, you haven't seen Infinity War?
No.
No, apparently Brian hasn't seen a ton of the MCU.
What are we doing?
All right,
Alex has
Alex
walked away.
Alex has quit the show.
So does that mean we produce ourselves now?
Yes.
No,
Sweet. Does that mean Alex is no longer coming on the show tonight?
Yes.
I'm still on the show. I just made a lot more work for Kevin.
No, I could just drop the volume level on your mic for that point because you weren't actually speaking.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here's what happened in Infinity War. Thanos won.
Wow.
He got all the Infinity Stones.
Mr. Varsik, I don't feel so good.
Good. But yeah, so what was I saying before I threw the microphone on the floor?
You're
Well-
talking about Thanos doing it's like
He was a
His
noble
bonus.
protagonist, wanting to conserve resources because
Right.
too many people were existing.
Right.
and about his backstory supposedly
Yeah,
being
suppose-
more Infinity War 2 where they're going to talk about him being a fast food mascot.
What?
Grimace
No.
from McDonald's.
I thought you were gonna.
Oh my God.
He could also be Rick from Pawn Stars.
What?
Right,
haven't
that's
watched-
Pawn Stars.
yeah. I didn't watch Pawn Stars.
Okay, fine. Yeah, but I think like he came to the conclusion, similar conclusion, in a less seemingly psychotic way.
Okay.
Like I would like
At least his method was clean.
there's a lot of similarities between Handsome Jack and Thanos in the sense of they want to make the world a better place.
They're both
Mhm.
pretty handsome. I mean, man, look at that shit.
If you want to have sexual relations with Thanos,
That is
your own
not
thing.
what I said at all.
That's what I got.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
I just said he's got a nice chin.
What you
I'm cutting
dream
this
about with that
regardless.
chin is your own doing.
That bulldozer chin.
Jesus Christ. But back to the topic at hand. They came like Handsome Jack is clearly psychotic.
Right?
You don't really get that from Thanos. You get an intimidating, badass type of feel from Thanos when he walks into shot every single time.
Mhm.
And he's actually a threat to the entire universe, so much that everyone on the Avengers couldn't actually stop him.
He
Right,
beat the Hulk
he
in like a
feels-
minute and a half.
Exactly.
Yeah, he feels invincible, whereas Handsome Jack, it was totally, oh, he's just another dude. We'll get to him eventually, and we can totally take him down.
Right, like Handsome Jack hides behind a robot army. You don't want to get to Thanos.
Well, Thanos took 10 years of hiding behind every other stooge that he had before he finally was like, you know what? I'm doing it myself. Because apparently Ronan the Accuser can't handle it. Loki can't handle it. Like, he's like, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah, I guess it's more like the kind of thing of, if you want something done right, do it yourself.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you that. If Thanos could just do everything by himself, why didn't he do it earlier? We would actually be in. Thanos would have actually accomplished his mission 10 years ago if he just decided to do it himself. Apparently.
Yeah.
So why
He
didn't
would
he?
have.
Is there weakness in
He
Thanos?
couldn't get out of the chair until his time. He had to sit in
There
that
was
chair in space.
too much glue on the chair.
No, his legs fell asleep.
Oh, of course.
That makes sense.
He sat in that chair for so long since Guardians 1. His legs fell asleep. And he couldn't get up. He had to get some Chitauri help him out of his chair. And it's like, oh, hang on, pins and needles.
What I do enjoy about the Infinity War movie was that they actually make Thanos sympathetic. Like,
Mhm.
he goes on his own hero's journey throughout the film,
Mhm.
which is very strange because you would think because he's a threat, because he's the guy you want to see lose, he gets more attention than anyone else in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, throughout all the promos, they hyped up Thanos specifically. It wasn't as much about the Avengers, maybe a little bit about Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Captain America here and there, but Thanos was kind of the centerpiece for all of their advertising.
Right, because Thanos was the cool thing that was going to happen.
Exactly.
He was the big deal. That was the big bad that they've been building to for 10 years. So it was kind of just like, he's here.
It's
Yeah.
You've been waiting for him.
happening.
Yeah, like he's like that just shows you how big of a deal he is as a person and a villain. That he has that presence about him that even if you haven't seen the movie, if you just watch something from it, you get to feel like the oh crap moment of this guy is for real.
Yes.
And he's willing to do anything that to make his vision true.
Mhm.
And I do like the humanizing moment that they did give him, but also took away when he murdered Gamora.
Yeah. They have like a nice kind of like having him have his like emotional moment where you can see where he's pulling the emotions from. But the thing I like that like you get that and you like can understand why he's having emotions, but you never cross into the like, yeah, I'm rooting for him. You still have like, he's a villain, but I get what he's going through kind of thing, which I think they do really, really well.
Yeah. I can't say much on the subject. I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah. See it and then get back to us.
Okay.
I would argue, like
Bless
if
you.
Thank you.
when deciding between either Handsome Jack, Thanos, or whatever is Kevin's
not brewing.
Megatron, but
What? No.
but
Definitely
like
not.
It's Optimus Prime.
I would ask you like seeing the like to Brian's point, seeing the trailers for Infinity War and it being all about Thanos and how intimidating a presence he has. Can you say the same thing for Handsome Jack?
I don't know. They did use Handsome Jack in some of the promo trailers of Borderlands 2, but I think it was for a different purpose. It was the purpose of, hey, Borderlands is kind of finally getting a story. Borderlands 1 didn't really offer too much. A lot of the players did get lost in terms of story, but Handsome Jack was kind of made in order to have a story. And now you have a villain, someone with a face that you can, actually
Punch.
punch or direct your hate towards finally.
Yeah. Though I do think Alex has a point. I think Jack walking in the room doesn't have the same aura to it that like Thanos does. Like there's that shot in the trailers.
That's definitely right.
Of like Thanos stepping out of a portal, and you immediately get the like, oh no, this is bad.
He's big, he's strong, he gonna hurt me.
Yeah, and I don't think Jack has that kind of aura around him.
He's kind of just a scrawny dude with some wrist cannons.
Yeah, like if you're comparing Thanos to Handsome Jack is like the like kid in the back of the classroom just making snide remarks the entire time, pissing off the teacher. Thanos is a jock that you don't want to touch because he will eat you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Kevin, what do you got on the table, Megatron?
No, it's definitely it's Megatron. So I am a big Transformers fan, and I'm going to pick Megatron, who has been a villain for he's a long-term villain in Transformers, and has managed to who has waged a 4 million year long war across multiple incarnations, and to many versions he managed to kill an entire planet. That he was so good at being a villain. And for a while, he was kind of more of the like 80s, just like bad guy for sake of bad guy kind of villain. Yeah. But recently in the IDW Transformers comics, which even though they're ending soon, I recommend that anyone that hasn't read them go read them, because the Megatron has this whole arc that like they delve into his backstories to how he became the like gun-toting war marauder that most like people know him as. And how he got pushed down that path of like starting as a revolutionary in a Cybertron that had kind of a corrupt caste system where Transformers, when they were created with an alt mode, that was deemed that was your alt mode, and whatever you turned into had a function, and that was the job you were supposed to do. So if you turned into a mining vehicle, you're a miner, and you're stuck doing that for your entire life. And so Megatron was actually a revolutionary that rose up against how unfair that was. And along the way, he had people kind of nudging him to like get more violent down the line. And like he came to a point of like people will only listen through violence. And then he kind of got lost down that path.
Okay. I mean, I can't speak super much on Transformers. My Transformers knowledge is much from the Armada era. And I know how Kevin feels about Armada.
I like that Megatron.
I like the Megatron design. I can't say much on his villain because it's been years since I watched anything of like, actual... aside from episode 1 Armada, because I know we all watched episode 1 Armada sometime last year, and let's not talk about that.
Yeah, no,
I'm dead inside.
Yeah. Alex, do you want to offer anything on Megatron? Because I know you've got some more experience with Megatrons through the years.
Right. So my thing with Megatron specifically, like as a concept, is that the best forms of Megatron from Transformers that they've offered comes in the form of the IDW comics, which Kevin talked about briefly. That makes sense. Like it makes sense where he's driven down this path to wanting to start a war, and then getting so lost in the war itself that he kind of loses his way. And then there also the old Hasbro show Transformers Prime. I guess it's old now because it hasn't been on for 4 years.
Well, it's now like 2 shows back.
Yeah.
It was like the Cyberverse show just started, so now 2 shows back in the rotation. So I think it's definitely old now.
Right, but like with Transformers Prime, they do flesh out Megatron's backstory as a warrior and a brilliant mind and a politician, where that he was able to inspire people to a following, and got most of the population of Cybertron to like revolt against the council itself.
Yeah.
However, they do not really tell us why he's revolting against the council.
They touched on it a bit in the backstory of Optimus and Megatron episode at the end of the first season, but not nearly to the level that the comics do. Which, I mean, granted, they don't have enough time, but they kind of touch on they pull from a similar well on the gladiator turned politician kind of part of Megatron's story, but they don't get into like nearly as much of the comics.
Now, if we want to talk about the original 80s Transformers, where you essentially have Frank Welker going, Decepticon! And all that other crap.
He's special. That Megatron is great in his own way.
No, but yeah, it is great. But I will, like, here's what I'm arguing with. That form of Megatron has motive, in the sense that he also wants to revitalize Cybertron by stealing resources from another planet.
Yep.
The Autobots are trying to protect life at that point. But every iteration between that Megatron, Armada, Cybertron, every version of Megatron is just outlandishly cartoonish and evil for the sake of being evil.
Animated Megatron isn't. He doesn't really have the backstory to it, but at least he's not acted in a cartoony evil for evil, and written like that, so that they can kind of get that.
Well, the Megatron and Transformers animated is more along the lines of like calculated, manipulative, and then I will kick you and kick your teeth in.
Which is where Megatron's at his best, is when he has both those sides of the manipulative, but also if he needs to kick your teeth in, he will kick your teeth in, and he will just destroy you.
But my main thing is that I like a villain with a backstory. That and Megatron, well, Transformers is just all over the place at this point.
There's so many different continuities, all different versions.
They reboot so many times, and we're just now getting into the next reboot of it all.
Yep.
And we haven't even figured out the motive of Megatron, so that I would argue against Megatron being into it because he needs to get his stuff together.
Safe bet is global conquest. It's usually conquering the planet, and then once they have to move on from energy resources, just conquer the new one.
Then it's evil for the sake of evil.
Or evil for the sake of self-survival.
Well, self-survival and evil...
Self-preservation, I guess.
Self-preservation is completely different. You don't amass an entire army and then start conquering other planets for your own survival.
Well, no. If you're selfish, you do. If you just want a surplus of resources that you're just going to take back to your main base, then yeah, you're going to be evil. You're just going to steal it from other people and say, I don't care if they're dead. I just have all the resources for me so that I can survive.
Yeah, but normally there's a backstory to explain why they want so much stuff.
Well, why they feel they need it.
Yeah. With the Cybertron itself, it's it's running out of resources. We need to go to planet and steal their stuff so our planet can survive. Yeah. Survival of the fittest, Charles Darwin. But
what? I mean, that technically makes sense, but that was just...
Suddenly we just had to give a little bit of a lesson here.
But like that makes sense. That's survival. That's evil through survival. Megatron isn't hasn't been portrayed in that way for a while. Like even in the Transformers movies that Michael Bay killed.
Like we don't talk about it. We especially don't talk about the second one.
No, you just fine talk about it since you need to make your point.
Yeah, it's just that
I'll let it slide.
Dark time.
There was a war that killed a planet.
Yes.
The Allspark was lost. They went to try to go find it. Megatron found it, but he got his butt frozen.
Yes.
What else is there?
I don't know. Yeah.
Like Transformers as a concept right now, besides the fact that they're an awesome and fun toy to like play with, the media content they provide has been confusing over the past 33 years. 33 years.
Yes, it is about 33.
Yeah.
1985?
84 was when it started, when the TV show started airing.
Okay, so 34.
Yeah.
So that's why Megatron should not be in the Hall of Villainy, because he needs to get his stuff together.
It's kind of hard when there's tons of reboots all the time.
I mean, you can say the same thing for Thanos, because they always have to do reboots of the Marvel comic universe.
No, Marvel does not do the reboots. Marvel has had like a constant thing, and then they just do like a soft reboot of like, this is a good jumping on point. DC is the one that reboots every so often.
My bad.
Yeah, Marvel's got the long run like all the way back.
Talk about DC.
Yeah, so Thanos has had his like solid, just straight run.
Yeah.
And like Jack has his one version. Megatron is dealing with the 34 years of multiverse variations on the same character.
Yeah.
Now,
but he's still such an iconic villain to continue permeating pop culture
He is
through all of
very,
those 34
very
years.
Popular.
he's also Australian.
You have to hear it to confirm that I'm right on that.
No, he's Cybertronian.
Yeah, you're right, Brian.
I'm good at this game.
Yeah, but if I was voting on Megatron, like if we're just talking about Transformers Prime Megatron, or we're talking about IDW
specify
Megatron,
which Megatron you'd want.
Yes, like those I will gladly accept into the Hall of Villainy.
Okay, you want me to specify?
No, I don't want you to specify because that would be so annoying.
We just get all of them in.
Yeah, we get 5 different Megatrons in the Hall of Villainy.
Alright, so I guess the time has come to cast our vote. To which I will actually yield and say Thanos.
Brian,
this is not how this works.
What?
No.
They vote on Twitter and Patreon.
They vote online.
Alright, well, that takes care of Minor League Evil.
No, that takes care of Hall of Villainy.
Oh my gosh, Brian.
Well, we're cutting that out now, too.
Yeah.
Alright, well, that takes care of... just say it. I can't.
That's the Hall of Villainy.
Well, this has been the Evil Quacks Podcast. Alex, thanks for coming on the show tonight.
No problem. Is it really nighttime? Oh, it is. Okay.
Well, yeah.
It's close enough. We'll count it.
Yeah. Well, I have been Brian Jackson. Thank you all for tuning in, along with...
Kevin Brady. I don't know.
It's so natural!
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you in a month? Yeah.
Yeah.
In a month.
In a month. Kevin, I want this on my desk by tomorrow morning.
I'll have it the day after tomorrow morning.
You better.